Today we're going to look at the term plebeian, often shortened to pleb. Plebeians, or plebs, were Roman citizens, and they're often disparaged for being of very low status. However, this is not actually the case. Plebs were much higher than slaves, for example, or even people who were not Roman citizens. They were often looked down upon, especially in Republican times, by the much higher in status patrician class.
Ancient Roman houses in the city were made of timber, mud brick, and later of concrete. Houses in the city were called insulae and were 6 to 7 stories high.
Hello, are you a Roman citizen?
Yes, sir.
Drop and give me 5 push-ups.
Whatever you say.
In early ancient Roman history, women were strictly under the control of their husband or guardian. They had very few rights.
Hey, you, my wife, what are you doing out of the house?
I'm allowed to leave. I can go shopping at the temple.
No. Today, I expect you to take care of the house and do all the chores.
But I was kind of thinking since you'd be home, you could take care
No,
of that.
you have no say in this family. I run it. You, back home.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Crastinators podcast. I'm your host for the day, the best guy ever, and I'm here with all the guys once again. First up is Digibro.
I fucked up the first recording. I'm as bad as Ben Saint at patreon.com.
Yes. Ben Saint, introduce yourself.
It's 10:50 a.m. I'm hungover, and I have not been awake at this time since I was a baby.
And hippo shit.
Hip replacement.
And, okay, let's get right into the news. Our topic for the day was plebes. Plebs, however you want to pronounce it. That's what it's about. It's this word defined by Urban Dictionary as... To bring back the old tradition, one whose inferior intelligence results in them making a complete, I did that again, just like I did last time, what the fuck? Making a complete tit face out of themselves in public. This fails to go into the minutia of the details, plebe. So it's a Roman word that was like the opposite of patrician, meaning one who's an idiot and a dumbass, and I don't give a shit about.
Well, is that really what it means, idiot, dumbass? Or is it more
No, I mean,
specific?
patrician meant, like, the educated aristocratic class of the Roman society.
Would it
and the
be
plebes
akin
were
to
everybody
peasant?
Else.
Like, you're just a
That's
peasant
right.
guy.
That's pretty much exactly
well,
right.
Urban Dictionary. Well, that's not how it's used now. And that Urban Dictionary definition just means that it's stupid, and that's definitely wrong.
You know, I think I just realized that plebe was the wrong word for us to all cling to, because Philistine is what we really mean. Like the way plebe is used now is what Philistine actually means, which is someone who doesn't understand the arts and is ignorant of
lacks appreciation.
Well,
for
you know,
them.
plebe implies some lack of appreciation as well.
But that's not what it means originally.
Although I guess we use plebe more as noob, though. Like, I don't think it necessarily implies that you can't appreciate the arts, is that you're just too new.
when I think of this word, I picture two people standing next to each other: a patrician who's a gay art student at Rhode Island School of Design at RISD, and the plebe I think of as
Katy Perry posting rare pepes in her tweets.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, so I wanted to say
I think one of the things about plebe is that it's usually used against somebody after they've formulated an opinion on something. Like, you wouldn't, if somebody says, I haven't seen that show yet, you don't call them a plebe, you tell them to watch it, and if they say, then you call them a plebe.
That's
That's why I don't think
I was going to get.
It doesn't quite
I wouldn't call
equate to
someone a plebe
noob
for not wanting to watch something. I'd only call them a plebe if they watched it and were like, I thought that this part was out of character, and I'd say, you fucking plebe, you don't understand the character.
See,
only I
let's just
that's
talk
where
about
I would
that
say
right now.
Philistine, though. That's where I'd pull that one out.
Well, they're basically interchangeable on that level. So yeah, just to set it, like, this is it's distinct. We were thinking this might be a little too similar to normies, but then I thought about it. And they really are totally distinct. And I've got the perfect example. As we in the storytelling game like to call it, the inciting incident for this podcast was a conversation I had with my roommate, who's coincidentally also named Ben, who I now hate.
Who you accidentally called instead of actual Ben.
This morning
20 minutes ago
Ben,
to get on the
called
podcast.
the other one. He was still asleep. Yeah. Okay. So we were talking. We were driving down the road. We were going to lunch. And we the topic of just anime came up, which I don't talk about with these guys too much because frankly they don't know nearly as much as me. So it's kind of boring for me to talk about. It's like, have you seen Cowboy Bebop? Yes, I've seen Cowboy Bebop. I like it. But
yes, 15 years ago, I was a
yeah.
child actually.
So we were talking about that, and to my amazing surprise, he had actually watched Konosuba last season. He had watched it on like Netflix or something.
Wow.
And I was shocked. And so this guy, I'm starting to think, wow, maybe this guy does get it, because like he wears this Final Fantasy VII shirt sometimes. He plays a lot of video. We talk about games and shows, and he's got decent. Yeah, that's right. If you're wearing a Final Fantasy VII shirt, you're a smart individual. So I'm thinking this guy's got some pretty decent taste. But then when I asked him what he thought about Konosuba, my favorite show of last year, or the last season, whatever, he just said, meh, it was okay.
He thought Konosuba was just okay?
He thought it was meh. He thought it was just okay. And this is what really did it, when he said, it was like Sword Art Online, only boring. These are the words. These are the words he said to me. These are the words he said to me. And he didn't know he was signing his fucking death warrant when he said those fucking words. It's like he put a curse on himself. So I then tried to explain to him why Konosuba... God. I mean, I didn't even get into the Sword Art Online thing. I just tried to explain why Konosuba was better than what he thought. Because he was bringing up all these points. And this is where the pleb factor comes in. He was bringing up all these points about how, like, dude, it's just another game. It's just another show where a dude gets, like, sucked into a video game world and, like, gets all these powers and meets a bunch of girls and they have these silly adventures. And the lighthearted tone is funny at times, but isn't as interesting as something like a death battle like in Sword Art Online. And
this is exactly why Sword Art Online is... I'm not going to... You know what? You continue
yes.
You know,
it's a big problem.
You know what he's doing?
It's the biggest problem in the universe.
He's just latching onto the tangible details of the fact that they both take place in a game. So he's like, oh, they're the similar shows.
That's what most people do.
And the reason for that, and the reason why he's doing that, is because he doesn't have as broad an experience with these. He doesn't understand what Konosuba is trying to do, and that's what makes him a plebe, and that's why plebes are the biggest problem in the universe.
I'll agree with you there.
Where I want to start.
I would agree with everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining myself in this scenario, and my first reaction, if he said that to me, I know the first thing I'd do would be to burst out laughing. Like, hysterical hyena laughter would be my first response. I mean, and then I would probably insult him and his intelligence, because I'm a dick, and I don't have that, when I'm on YouTube, I can, like, type the comment and delete it, but in person, it's just, like, the first thing that comes to mind is, like, ha, you're wrong! Like,
Yep.
And then I might, depending on how he took the insults, I would then go into my 50-point breakdown of why he's wrong.
Yes. That was the plan.
I mean, that also implies that he didn't find Sword Art Online boring. Nestled in
it's
there
like one of
is
his favorite shows. He said it's like one of his favorite shows he's seen. So, there's a lot to sort out.
Nate, I'm
with
curious,
this dude,
have you actually seen Sword Art Online?
Nope. I've seen, like, episode 1.
I have never seen any of Sword Art Online.
So you guys could be considered a little unfair.
No,
I don't
because
have any,
I don't care. I don't
even
care about his opinion on Sword Art Online. I only care about his opinion on Konosuba, which I know for a fact is a great show. And to say it's meh, it's unforgivable.
Like Sword Art Online, only boring.
Yeah.
If you guys had seen Sword Art Online, you'd understand that what particularly bothers me about that statement is that Sword Art Online is fucking boring. Like, by far and away, my biggest criticism of Sword Art Online is that it's unbelievably insufferably boring, because it has like this really strong start where the first 2 episodes set up this death game thing and like set up all these high stakes and stuff. And like episode 3 is dramatic, and then after that, the entire rest of the show is nothing. Nothing happens. It's fucking boring. Nothing matters.
I think he's one of these guys who is satisfied in a show by it being and we don't need to talk about Ben forever. We can let him off the hook eventually, but I think he's one of these guys who like the show is about this death game where like the stakes are really high. Like that's true. And so I think that's kind of enough for them to be like carried through the show, just like sort of keeping that in mind,
about people who they don't see these sort of like the boring flaws and stuff, is that they think that like
thing to do.
If there's like boring talky scenes or whatever, there's just exposition. They've seen that in other things that they kind of liked, and they just assume that for a show to be good, it has to have, lulls in excitement and stuff. And they don't realize that there's a difference between something being like interesting but like low energy and something just being really boring. They just assume that that's what they're supposed to do.
I think I know where it comes from, and because the Red Letter Media videos on the Mr. Plinkett reviews of the Star Wars prequels, I think were integral to this, because when I was a little kid, I never saw
the mind-numbing action that the fanboys crave.
Well, I never saw the original Star Wars as a kid, and like I saw it, like I think I saw parts of the first one around the time the Phantom Menace came out, but I saw Phantom Menace like probably in theaters. And I was fucking bored to tears by that movie, right? I thought it was the most boring thing I'd ever seen. And for a long time, I believed that I just thought like space and politics were boring. Like the idea of like space politics was the most boring thing in the world. I could see why that movie would do that. Right. And I believed that all the way up until adult. Like I've never been into sci-fi. I've never been into political stuff until I played Mass Effect at like age 20. And completely changed my outlook on both things, and now that's like my favorite genre is political sci-fi. And then I watched the Plinkett reviews, and I realized that political sci-fi was never boring. The movie is just terrible. And like as a kid, I thought I just didn't understand what they were talking about because it was too like it was over my head, But then the reality of it is that it was just bad. It was just badly written, and that's why I didn't understand it. Or,
I'll tell you, there's like there's the fucking people kill me.
I think what you're trying to, or what you were at least trying to say last time, was that people who watch those scenes in a show like Sword Art Online think it's necessary for that to be there. Like they think.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that people, they sometimes feel like they might recognize that something is like boring and stuff, but they're scared of like whining about it. They don't want to be that person who says, "Oh, I didn't like it," and then everyone turns around and says, "But it's a great movie."
Of American anti-intellectualism.
They just accept that it's like really. It's good, even though they find it boring. They say, "No, it's boring, but that's okay." That's sort of
when you complain about something, people can find it a real buzzkill. I have a friend who he asked me. He said, "Ben, you're the coolest guy ever. What do you think about the new Fooly Cooly sequels coming out?"
Oh boy, here we go.
And he said, I didn't see this at the time because I couldn't see through just the red veneer of rage that came over my eyes, and I just went on this fucking bender about how it's all just an evil fucking how it's an evil corporate money grab, and everyone that is responsible should be in hell, and how I pray every night. And I pray every night for another tsunami to come and finish the fucking job and wipe out Japan. Just wipe out Japan. Japan's done some good stuff, but it needs to die right now before it ruins its honor by destroying the best thing it ever made, Fooly Cooly, with a sequel. And
right on,
and I could see just the childlike wonderment went out of his eyes. This was a guy who really liked Fooly Cooly and was like, "I liked Fooly Cooly. I can't wait for the sequel." And as I went on, I killed his joy. His joy.
I'm so with you, and I saw this so clearly when I made my Final Fantasy VII video, which is very divisive among the people who've seen it. Where just to raise the idea that the thing that you're talking about, like, because my whole life, me and my friend Colin, when we were kids, made a pledge that like we would do whatever it takes because like we were young, we didn't have any money to like get whatever money was required to buy the console or whatever we needed to play the Final Fantasy VII remake when it came out, and that was from a time when Square Enix. I mean, yeah, I know. At the time, we didn't know if that was even going to be fucking possible. But we just like it was something that we just blindly believed would be the best thing ever because it was like our favorite game, and we trusted Square Enix, and we didn't understand how these things happen. But now that we're older, I mean, I don't know about him, but I understand that's just not how things are going to pan out. It's not going to be, what I expect it to be. It's going to be, this whole other thing. It's going to be its own thing. And you only know that if you have the perspective of someone who like understands how these things happen. So that's where being a plebe will shoot you in the foot because you encourage bad things to happen without even knowing you're doing it.
Here's the thing that I think is not necessarily the same as being
And I'm
a
aware
plebe.
this comes off as the most condescending podcast that I've ever done. Definitely.
I think Normie's was pretty close, pretty up there.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that's not necessarily the same as being a plebe, but I think it can be related. A lot of people don't want to see anything negatively. They want to be excited about things, and they want to like things.
Mm-hmm.
I think
we could just make this about the how people don't appreciate negativity enough. That could be like the theme of this.
I think if I wanted to speak in defense of like plebness is like ignorance is bliss, right? Like
that's right. That's right.
The less you think about it, the more you can enjoy it. And I think that
even though that's not even true, but from a certain perspective,
I think there's a double-edged sword with being a pleb, which is that if you just like everything in like the same, because I see this sometimes where there's people who aren't very critical.
I know where you're going.
People who give everything like a 7 out of 10, like everything, or a 10 out of 10. Like they give everything these baseline, like it's either amazing or it's good, but then the difference between those isn't even that strong. I feel like when people aren't very critical of stuff, then everything is just kind of the same, and they kind of watch something and they go, oh, it was great, and then for all time they just go, oh, it was great, but they never experience more. Whereas for me, like, because I'm so critical of some stuff, then the stuff that I do like, I like way more. For something to break down all those barriers of things that it can do wrong, for a show to just like not fuck up in any way and then to just excel in certain ways is like mind-blowing to me. It's like I can't believe this is really happening, that genius and beauty exists in the world, It's like
you know what I am?
Genius and beauty is like a rare Pepe.
Yeah.
Hosted by Katy Perry for all to enjoy. I can't believe. Yeah, anyway.
I'm like Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting. No, actually I'm not Matt Damon. I'm like Skarsgård. I'm the professor who discovered Matt Damon, the genius kid.
Good Will Hunting.
Well, it's like this. It's like there's only a few men in the world who can tell the difference between you and me, but I'm one of them. And it's like you gotta be able to see the difference between Sword Art Online and fucking Konosuba if you want to survive meeting me, because I'll fucking kill you if you say that shit to me again.
I would consider myself a bit of a pleb in a few ways. I mean,
everyone's a pleb in
because
some way, but, yeah.
like I try to be. It's not that I try to be optimistic all the time. I actually enjoy being really critical on things that people like, but that's just because I'm. What's the word? Contrarian, yeah.
Contrarian, yeah.
But I do like just giving things, letting things, just. I'm accepting of things that like people in this chat, in this group, really all rag on. Like I still kind of like Nerdwriter and all that stuff.
I like Nerdwriter.
Well, I know you do, but like everyone else,
I don't care for him personally.
It's just,
even though I hate Dark Souls 2 a lot, I still don't think I hate it as much as you do now, Digi. With your,
I don't think
nobody
hates
hates
as much as I do.
Yeah,
you've overtaken me there. I don't know. I consider myself a pleb, maybe because as a defense mechanism.
Well,
like,
I mean,
I don't want to be. I don't want to.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's what I think. There's no such thing as plebs because nothing in this world is truly worth appreciating at all. All right, so some people think they have a real good nose or taste or whatever for beer, but they're wrong. They've been tricked by big alcohol companies. The culture of beer is one that's like, beers do taste different, but none of them taste good. All art is like that. None of it's really good. You've just been tricked into thinking you like it by the media and by marketing. So plebes are
to a certain extent.
No, completely.
100%. I like Guinness. I think Guinness tastes good now. Now that I've drank it so many times, I guess
there are better and worse beers. I
know what you're saying. For the most part, it's about. I mean, you could like anyone. Like people like getting tied to the railing and raped. You know, if you do it enough times, they learn to like it. They learn to like it.
Do they?
That's.
Yeah, are you sure?
I can confirm that. Yeah. No.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
God.
Mm-hmm.
So we've just all got Stockholm syndrome to art. Art and culture just have us all fucking hostage.
Well, it's funny. I actually think that a lot of people like a lot of stuff out of Stockholm syndrome because of
absolutely. I'm not kidding about that.
Yeah, I think that's essentially the argument we were having about Sword Art Online, and that those first 2 episodes were so gripping that people will watch the whole fucking show, and no matter how stupid and boring it gets,
that's why I like Attack on Titan. That's what Attack on Titan did to me.
That's right.
It just hooked me really hard at the beginning.
I think the greatest cultural example of that in recent years was The Walking Dead. That it had this really strong first season, but that was only 6 episodes, and then it's just been painfully boring for 5 fucking seasons.
Yeah, but
but it was enough, man. That's all they need to do. And
I
now
want to see how it ends or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Though,
they all fucking die.
Even
everyone dies.
My
Spoiler
parents,
alert.
who are not particularly critical or picky, and even they by season 3 were like, this show's fucking dumb as fuck, but they're still watching it because they can't not.
Yeah, now they're invested. That's what they do. They get you invested in the characters, and they numb your critical thinking, and then they're just find out. And at first they tap into your there's a base human reaction to oh shit, things are happening to these people. Are they going to be okay? They get you with that, and then they build a little bit of narrative weight into it. They build a thread line. They make you relate to these people, and they get you invested in them personally. And then at that point they can do whatever the fuck they want. It doesn't matter. You're already got.
It's what happened to me with Naruto and Bleach. I still read them, even though I don't like. Well, Naruto's finished, but I read it all the way to the end, even though
out.
Oh well, who cares?
Yeah,
I don't need to. I don't need to get invested in the new characters. I've done my bit. I've seen how it ends.
Yeah.
And now I can never look at it again. And
I'm glad I don't have this impulse, because for me, I guess it's because it's very all or nothing with me, because most shows aren't over when I start watching them, and then I catch up, and then I just never watch it again. So,
well, reading Naruto wasn't too much of a hassle. I would always go to the manga sites to read the new One Piece chapter, and there's usually a Naruto there as well.
Yes, there is.
I do have the strong urge to finish anything that I start. But to balance that out is I don't start things very often. It takes multiple separate people independently recommending me something for me to even think about watching it.
I gotta ask, is this weird that I think the reason I don't feel the need to continue is that I feel no matter what happens is either they die or they don't die.
Yes, that's weird.
That's always what it comes down to. Is either they die or they don't die by the end of the story.
Life.
You know why
that's just life.
That is just life.
And adding on to that, they will eventually die. So even then, none of it fucking matters.
This is the part where I showed up in the call.
Well, I wanted to go back to the sort of the idea that people are afraid of being judged for being critical.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to bring in the new Brady Haran original term from the Hello Internet podcast, cheer pressure, which is where there's pressure to be constantly positive to all things.
Do you say sheer pressure?
Cheer pressure, you got to be cheering for them. You can't possibly we've all had people attack us for being
oh god, I'm seeing red. You just reminded me of the angriest I've ever been. Okay, that's totally relevant, because yesterday when Digi did he did a video that was criticizing boring tastes in anime, and this I swear I'm gonna fucking murder your whole family. Anime, I've never been more angry in my life. That
who are you talking to?
Anime every day is who he's talking
to. All right,
to.
it's not him. It's just like he makes this response about how like Digi isn't allowed to criticize things because he has a fucking platform. People are gonna not like the things that he says he doesn't like, and that is not fucking allowed. That's not allowed. You can't do that. You're spreading a cancer. You're spreading dislike of something that he like. Oh my god, fuck off, you piece of shit! I wish you were dead. That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Oh god, I'm so mad.
What? So this guy said that like it's irresponsible of you to say that things are bad because it'll make people like them less.
That's
Man, what community have I heard that kind of argument?
I know, right?
Before?
I know,
Well,
right?
I mean,
exactly.
wait, hold on. What Anime Everyday was saying was that you're judging people by their tastes, but you think that people shouldn't be judged by their taste at all. It's not so much being judged by your taste, it's being...
Digi didn't even judge anyone's taste. He says every fucking time that like you can like any show you want.
It's more like
if
this.
You're being inauthentic.
This is what
that's
it's
the
like.
fucking problem. Why doesn't he understand?
Look,
He's
what
so
it really
stupid.
is being
Man, some people are really stupid,
evaluating people's tastes. Like you look at your favorites and you go, it seems like you're into this kind of thing. So it's not him saying some people have worse tastes than other people. It's just saying... He's just saying that me personally, some tastes bore me because I'm on 4chan all the time.
All it is
Digi
saying he's bored. That's
not
an offensive
I'm right now looking
statement.
at this reply I got to a comment on that video that was like, why can't you just admit Digibro fucked up? Why can't you just admit it that he lapsed in judgment? I'm going to give this guy a response.
Judgment.
You know what? I didn't want to bring this up, but it's out now, so whatever.
Yes, Nate, congratulations. You now have your first public beef in the anime community. I hope you
Yeah, great.
I'll
go to
I mean, look, I
war with
completely
this dude.
understand. I completely
You should have called him out
understand
for
where
that.
all these people are coming from because, like,
I didn't know he existed.
Because in this chat, where we do these calls, we shit on people's tastes all the time. But when we shit on people's tastes, we don't mean it in the same way as some people mean it. When some people are like, if you like K-On, you're completely retarded. That show has no substance whatsoever.
Oh, I
Certain
wonder
people
really
like that.
Anime snob, actually.
Yeah.
So people like that, when they say
can
that,
almost compete with mine, but you have to have a shitty echo effect to really make it sound.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like an evil villain.
You got to cup the mic.
and then you gotta speed it up 10%.
Okay.
So anyway, when he says that, it doesn't mean the same thing as when we are like, ugh, why does such and such continue to shit on such and such thing that we like? When we say it, it means a different thing. You're just gonna have to take our word for it, guys. You're just gonna have to take our word for it.
I'm gonna have to, the reason that because I know, Nate, you didn't like that in my response, I was overly fair to
You were so fair, and it made me so mad. You should have ripped him apart.
The only reason for that is the realization I had when I was watching his video, and he kind of makes this point, that those shows that I'm talking about are mostly kind of obscure shows. And, like,
I guess.
I think the problem is that from my perspective, all I see these, like, the only times I ever see these shows talked about is in fucking 3x3 threads. It's when people are putting them on their favorites list because they make you look really smart and cool. But then I thought about it and I was like, no one's championing these on YouTube except for this guy. Like anywhere else, for me, anywhere else on the internet, it's annoying to see like a million anime every day is going, oh, this show is so beautiful and that makes it the best show that I've ever seen, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I fucking get it. But then I thought about it and I'm like, well, there's no video of me on my channel going, hey guys, go watch Anne of Green Gables because it's a classic, you know? And so if I had more videos about those shows, then I would really feel like he completely deserved to be ragged on.
Like look, guys, if you guys are just now hearing about all this, believe me, like if you're hearing us talk about this for the first time, it may sound like Digi made some video where he's like, "Hey everyone, I'm here to tell you about who to not take seriously around here." It wasn't like that at all. It was more like a thought experiment. It was sort of like, I don't know. You just have to.
Don't defend it. Don't defend it. It doesn't need a defense. It was just a fucking whatever.
It was just like a thought experiment type of thing, and I understand that people don't like understand the depth of where we're coming from. Like I don't know. Like it's just kind of.
It was a video that wasn't meant to be watched by as many people as it was. Is really what it comes down to. It's a video that has 30,000 views. That was just a random rambling.
I mean, you did give it a really clickbaity title and a thumbnail even.
I don't know why I did that, because in retrospect that made no sense. Because I did the title I had in mind from the beginning, but like I did give it a thumbnail like, ha, this will get more clicks. And then I looked at it and I went, why did I want that to get more clicks?
I'm not sure I even agree with the argument that, like, I didn't intend this to be seen by more people, because once you post it out, it's out. But, like, nonetheless, I think your points are nothing to be argued.
This reminds me...
Well, here's my thing about this, is that, like, he's talking about a vague generalization, and if you feel like you aren't, like, posturing with your opinions, then you aren't part of that group, and you don't have to, like, be defensive about it. Like, if you feel like you aren't part of that group, then you aren't.
He was part of this group so hard, which, I mean, is fair.
Well, I did literally call him being
I know.
I mean, yeah, if you get called out, then you can make a response. What I told him was, you should have just made a response proving, like, explaining why all your favorites are better than everything else.
I also thought that's what it was going to be. Like, when I clicked on the video, I was really hoping he was about to, like, play defense for the show.
That would have made you look way stupider.
When I saw that the video was only 8 minutes long, I figured there was no way he could defend 9 choices.
His response to me was that, well, I explain it all in my videos themselves. I'm like, oh,
See, that's the problem.
I don't want to hunt down all of his videos, so I'll just take his word for it.
Let's move this into a discussion of another kind of pleb, right?
Sure.
And this is, once again, I'm just accusing anime every day of something, so I'm just stirring the pot even more.
Whatever,
but,
let him have it.
I think that the fact that he thinks he's put up a defense of why those shows are on his list is exactly the problem of why I made that video in the first place, because he hasn't really not in any depth or meaningful way. He's talked a lot about how they're very well written and beautiful to look at, and the art design is really strong, you know. But
is that really his voice?
Yeah,
I haven't seen his videos.
Yeah, that's sort of his voice. But like, I know he's capable of making analytical points, because he's analyzed the Ghost in the Shell film and and Arise, and made some great points in those videos. But most of his videos
I love those
just
videos.
like most of his videos are like, these are the top 10 anime of 1990, and then he'll like just describe. They're kind of like YMS reviews, where he's just like describing the fact that the show is good and not why it's good, like in any specific kind of detail. And my problem with those 3x3s is that so many of those shows, and this is what I was trying to get across about Ergo Proxy, is that like, I don't understand the appeal of Ergo Proxy, and no one has explained it to me well enough that I like get it. You know?
And look, it is like proven that in some fields, at least, people will posture for a sophisticated looking opinion. I remember Jimquisition talking about that in regards to certain features on video games, but also correlating it to coffee. How statistics show that, like, when people are interviewed, they say, "Oh, I like a rich, dark roast of coffee." But then buying habits suggest that people mostly buy milky, weak coffee. You know, it's not like...
The very notion he's proposing that people don't just put things on there to look smart or cool is the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my life.
Like, even if, like, we love everyone, right? We're the most positive people ever, right? We're not saying you're not we're not saying you're not a good person.
We're extremely cynical, and that's the issue. Is that I don't think he's cynical enough about it, because I got a lot of responses.
We're just saying we don't automatically dislike anyone for anything.
I don't think it's as
we're not
cynical
saying you're a
as
bad
it could
person. We're not saying you're not allowed to watch anime, all right? I mean, I personally don't care about this whole boring taste thing, because I'm not on 4chan all the time. Just letting you know, like, please don't take it too seriously. It's just like a thought experiment or something. I don't know.
I don't think it's as cynical as it could be, because I think that when people make lists like that, or 9x9, 3x3 was like that, or whatever, it's not like they're setting out to deliberately deceive people. No. It's that this is like what they're defaulting to out of like an instinct or out of a sort of sense they have that this is what's appreciated. And
everybody does it.
Well, yeah, I too.
Everyone does it to
I
an
totally
extent.
think that, like, I have a sense of, like, if something feels like in a good in such a conventional way, that can make me like it a little bit more than how much I enjoyed it when watching it, because it gives me so much more appreciation for it afterwards. You see,
I mean,
so I totally get it.
It's satisfying to champion. It's satisfying to agree with people and to like say, "Oh, I love this show," and to have everyone nod in agreement and go, "Yes, yes, that is a good show." And so, if you've got two shows that you like equally, one of which is going to be controversial and get you like insulted, and the other of which is like everyone's going to be like, "Yep, same." You know, I think people are naturally inclined to pick that one.
I agree, and I think I definitely find some deep satisfaction with the few times I get to agree with pop culture, and that's like that's why I actually like when people call me a hipster and stuff. I always feel like it's it's so mischaracterizing who I am because of the fact that I hate that my taste is hipster taste. Like, I wish everyone liked everything I like. I don't want to be the guy who likes the things that nobody likes.
See, that's the thing. This whole plebe thing simply comes out of a lack of understanding what the fuck is going on. If you don't like something, just explain why.
Like,
and if you're right, people will agree with you. And that's what we all do in our fucking videos. I made a fucking 40-minute video. It took me 6 months of my life just to explain why one show is a little bit better than everyone already thinks it is. That was substance. There was substance going on there. What this is, what we see from the fucking plebes, is them just saying, nope, you're wrong. And I'm not going to explain why. You're just wrong.
Yeah, I was on my way.
I'm not impressed by that. I'm not impressed by that argument. Come back to me when you've got something intelligent to say.
Right. I was on my way to my point about like that other kind of plebness that I was accusing anime every day of just like the fact that he thinks that he has made the point about those shows is like plebe in regards to being a writer. Like that, I think that there's a standard that I think most people is the standard of reviews, and it's shit tier. Like, if you're writing reviews that could get published in a major magazine, those are the shittiest reviews possible. If you're writing
unless you're that one guy who writes for EGM about how everything is a dick-sucking cock. It's like Tom Cruise sucking my
Sean
dick.
Sean Baby.
That's the one.
The thing is that I think there was a time in history where consumer reviews were really important, right? Where because a new movie came out and no one knew if it was good unless they went and watched it. And so you would open up a magazine and the magazine would give you like a very short description of like whether, and the thing people have to understand about like writing from this so-called objective perspective, like the point of it was never to like determine the film's quality. It was to present it in a way that the most people would resonate with, right? Like most people will feel that a movie is shittily paced. So if someone says in an article, the film is bad because the pacing is bad, they're saying that because most people will feel that way. It doesn't mean the movie is actually bad, because there's probably someone out there who doesn't care about the pacing and will love that movie. But like the general, like a critic is someone who has to channel what they believe to be the general consensus and put it into words. And that's what a consumer review is. And that's what someone like Roger Ebert was so good at doing, you know? But like, I think that age is gone. Consumer reviewers are completely fucking unnecessary because we have Rotten Tomatoes, and all you have to do is open it and look at the number and go, okay, you know, now I know. Like, which is an aggregate of like a bunch of those mainstream consumer reviews. But like, if you're fucking on YouTube doing like consumer reviews of anime, it's like we have Anime News Network for that. We have like regular publications. We have magazines. We have, you know, you can look at the score that is given on my anime list or something. Like, what is the point
make your
of this?
channel the story
like,
of your tastes. Because if you're a good writer and you're like authentic with yourself, you can make you more interesting. And I'm not accusing anyone of not being authentic. I'm just saying, like, maybe play into that a little bit more.
Right.
Like, again, let's be very clear. We're not like judging. I don't think you were judging anyone based on your tastes. You were making statements like a reverse spectrum that he just
worst thing that you could accuse Digi of was saying that someone's taste was boring.
I guess so, but like a reverse spectrum,
statement.
a guy who I think listens to these, he added me on Mal recently, and I looked at his top 5. Well, his top 4 are Redline, Madoka, Samurai Flamenco, and Ping Pong, and I was like, whoa, I see a connection. He likes stuff that goes all out insanity or something like that. That's kind of a cool taste for him, and you know, everyone's taste is fair. It's just that, not me, this isn't me, because I don't spend all my time on 4chan, but Digi has certain opinions that make him go, oh, I know this kind of thing, derp-de-doo.
Hi, I'm interrupting the podcast. Man, I had just gotten out of bed when I got onto this podcast. I guess I'm really slurry when I first wake up and a lot less articulate. Also, this was recorded probably 3 weeks before it was the point at which it gets released. Because Nate said, because you came into it late, that for some reason means you have to be the one to edit it. And I was like, well, okay, when I'm done with everything else I have to do, And so this is what happens.
Well, I'm bored by this idea of like making a video or making a list that says like, here's what are the best anime, and I'm like, I don't think we need someone to tell us that. Like, it's obvious in a way. Like, I need you to explain to me why people care about it. Like, because those shows are fucking ancient, you know, like.
More people need to watch more and broader anime and come to their own conclusions about what the best anime is.
And that's the other thing, is that, like, I think that when we, like, because, like, I understand from his perspective, he's thinking, like, well, here's all these masterpieces, and not enough people have seen them, so I need to promote them. But I'm over here like, I know all these other shows I consider masterpieces that even less people are watching. And so, like, it would be so much more interesting to me if someone came out and they were like, my top 9 shows are like Manabi Straight and fucking I'm just gonna look around my room at the.
I don't even know what that is. It's just a funny way you said it.
And fucking Simone
and Camphor.
And Camphor. Like, if someone came out with a list that had Camphor on it, like, because the thing is,
what
if you
the
were
fuck's
on
that guy's deal?
If you were on 4chan, then someone's gonna go,
what the
Camphor.
fuck is Camphor?
But if that guy, if I saw a top 9 and like there was like 8 great shows and Camphor, I immediately am gonna text that guy and be like, please write a review of Camphor, please. Like, nothing could be more interesting to me than that guy's review of Camphor, you know. And so, like, if I see a list and it's like 9 shows that I've read 1,000 million popular reviews of, you know, like at the end of 2009, this guy basically every anime blogger on the planet like made a top 50 anime of the decade list just because it was the end of the decade, everyone wanted to do it. So this guy called Aqua Blue Sweater, who's like a statistician, took all of them and compiled them into like the list of what were the top rated ones. And it was like Haibane Renmei, Mushishi, Kaiba, like all these, you know, all the frou-frou shows you expect to be up there. And it's like they'd all been reviewed by everyone, because like everyone who made those top 50s, they had a, like, you know, their little blurb about each show. So that means like there were more blurbs written about fucking Mushishi than any other show. So when someone makes a video that's like, Mushishi is the best show, I'm like, yeah, I know, everyone knows, we all know. Write about something else, please.
Here's something that confuses me a little bit. I think a lot of people, what they want out of a review is that it agrees with their opinion.
Sure.
And which makes it kind of, doesn't that make it inherently uninteresting? I don't
That's what I was saying to my some commenters I didn't like. I was like, guys, listen, a video is like an editorial. It's a think piece. It's not an opinion agreement delivery service.
I'm of two
if
minds.
You phrase
about
it like
this
that, then you
I
shut them
acknowledge
up.
that it feels good to hear someone affirm your opinion, but I also think that it's not interesting to just hear your own opinion parroted back at you.
I totally agree, but that's why I am firmly of the stance that I think happiness and good feelings are vastly overrated.
You know, I
agree with that.
No, Ben,
think about from this real quick, kind viewers. If everyone was happy all the time, what would get done? Nothing.
I actually at this point, I've way gotten past the point where I actually get really mad when I read positive reviews of stuff I like that don't explain anything. Like, like the worst review to me is when someone like if I see a review of K-On! And like, and the review is like, "Oh, this show's really cute and fun, and it's good. Go watch it." And I'm like, "What the fuck? How is that gonna like?" Yeah, no shit. I already knew that. You know.
You know, dude, that's very much the reason, like, when I was making my Gurren Lagann video, like, I watched everyone's review, and they were so shit. They were so bad. It had to be corrected. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm of the exact same opinion.
And that's actually, like, that was realizing that, like, what you realized watching all those was a huge part of what affirmed me into, like, doing this, because of the fact that I had always assumed that this would already have been done by 1 million people. That, like, there was already gonna, like with Ava, you know, like you assume there must have been every Ava analysis possible because it's been around for so long, and you know, and I know there is a lot, like there actually is like a whole channel of Ava analysis, and there's like the Ava Geeks forum and all that stuff. But like in spite of all that, I feel like most of the stuff I've said about the show is stuff I've never seen someone else say, and like I think there's still so much room because I think up until recently, consumer reviews were what people thought criticism of art was, and like analysis was mostly like a like a school. What's the word I'm looking for? For
I don't know, like a school project sort of thing. Is that what you're saying?
No, academic. That's the word I'm looking for.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like
okay.
it's more of an academic thing. It's more of a university thing.
Yeah,
to, like,
and like
do
I don't think the
analytical
market's
stuff.
ever going to be too crowded of like personal, like thoughtful pieces related to your own life of any show. You know.
Whereas it's like I think if you can, like, if you wanted to write just a review of a show, like go to Google and type like Konosuba review, and you're gonna, if you get any result, don't write a review. Like write an analysis, write a think piece, write something original. Yeah,
that's fair.
You know? Like, I don't need there to be more than one review of anything. And this has gotten to this point with all these fucking new movies coming out, where, because every YouTuber has decided that they're going to review every new fucking Marvel movie.
It makes that money, dude.
Right. We get YMS putting out these quickies that are worthless, like completely critically worthless. They tell you nothing about the film. They are usually like him nitpicking two random elements and then spending 5 minutes going, well, it was good, but it wasn't as good as it could have been, but it's pretty okay.
It wasn't quite as good as great, but it wasn't quite as great as amazing, but it wasn't as good as not good, but it was almost like 3 levels of good over good 5. And
like I watched all these fucking reviews of Civil War, and it was like Movie Bob had probably the best consumer review possible for that movie. And even then, all I could think the whole time was, who cares? Like, everyone's gonna see the movie. Yeah. Anyone who gives the slightest fuck about this movie is going to watch this movie. This will probably be one of the highest grossing films of all time. Why do we have 800 consumer reviews coming out for a movie literally everyone will see?
Because consumer reviews, those were invented before the information age, guys. We don't need those as much anymore.
Yeah, you know, I was going to say this before, but, like, I was thinking before about, like, how I got into the video games I like. And, like, there were 2 ways. Like, my friends would tell me about them, and like, Ben, and, like, people I knew. And then I read Game Informer. Or, like, I would, like, look at magazines, right?
I love Game Informer.
Game Informer was
I used
the
to
shit.
love that
it was
shit.
So useful, but, like,
but even more than that,
you know?
I would just flip through it looking for reviews with scores under 5 and just read them, like, trash a game, just because I wanted to hear what, shitty things they would say about them.
But see, yeah, it was super great. It was super fun. I love that magazine. But, like, I don't read it anymore. Largely because, I mean, maybe because I don't have time, but, like, it doesn't serve the same purpose it once did of, like, educating people on what a game. You can just fucking Google it and find 1,000 pages about whatever. Go on V, and everyone's talking about it, you know?
Aggregated all of human information. Go to Wikipedia.
So bringing up Movie Bob reminds me of another layer on the pleb 7-layer dip.
Yes.
And
that
is
the sour cream.
Another like root cause of plebness, of chronic plebness.
Do you not like sour cream, Digi?
I actually like physically can't eat sour cream.
Oh,
like,
fuck you, sour cream rules. Okay,
man,
sorry,
whatever.
Ben. Go on.
It's like I throw up if I eat it. Like, it's disgusting.
Well, get over it, bitch.
I'm gonna sneak sour cream into your.
I'm gonna puke on your nuts if you do that.
Anyway, Movie Bob. I think people are invested in liking things just by nature of the fact that they watch them. In not Civil War, in Avengers, in his Really That Good About Avengers, Movie Bob brings up that, like, going in to watch Avengers, you know, people aren't just rooting for the Avengers, like, rooting for the Avengers themselves to win is the same as them rooting for them to like the movie, for the movie itself to succeed.
Yeah, that was weird that was his point. Though I think Bob is someone who can just watch movies, whatever. Like, he is no pleb when it comes to movies in terms of watching them. It seems like he's watched all movies that exist. I
thought his point was good about people, like, that go into the movie are already invested, like, financially and time-wise in their own enjoyment of the movie. They want to like it because they are there watching it. And I thought it was weird that he made it out like Avengers was the only movie that did this, or that it was brilliant for doing it. I thought it was applicable to pretty much any movie. The fact that I have watched something kind of makes me want to give it the benefit of the doubt so that I won't have wasted my time.
That's entirely true, but that brings up perhaps the biggest core problem with plebdom in general, which is just an interest in liking it over being critical of it and, like, viewing it from an intellectual lens, you know?
Particularly something that you used to like that you don't really like as much anymore, but you want to keep hanging on
shut
to
the
it.
Fuck up. You keep going on these long tangents I don't give a fuck about.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's true, Ben. You're absolutely right about that. It's
I mean, Yeah, I mean, that was a thing that I used to. I think I used to feel that more strongly. Nowadays, I find disliking something to be just as interesting and satisfying as liking something after the fact.
Well, Ben,
I'm no longer bothered by the
Yes.
idea that I didn't like something.
You've got to get to that place.
Ben,
From plebdom, you got to rise.
I think that's where I think that the same exact emotion you're talking about is why people do these things like I did with Sword Art Online or Asterisk War, where like I think that when you watch something and you don't like it at all, you feel that you need to squeeze something out of it. Like you have to get like because you've been so wrong. Like my brother Victor, he's but like long before I was even doing YouTube, like a couple years before, and I kept wanting to do videos out of this, but he would, every time he saw a movie he hated, he would go on these epic rants about them. Like he saw like
that sounds like me in my youth.
He saw fucking what's it called? Clash of the Titans, like the new one, and he just like went on this fucking tirade, this like 22-minute amazing, beautiful tirade, and it was the best thing I'd ever seen. And I realized that it's just because he felt so robbed by the movie that he had to like, you know, feel something. So like he had to express his rage so that he could then feel a response to the film. You know?
have to feel anything at all,
Right,
even
yeah.
if it's just a
It's better to feel
rage.
something than nothing. And by the way, Devu, I want to extend the olive branch. I didn't mean to be so harsh there. I was just finishing a point.
Yeah,
Anything
fuck
you'd
you,
care to
guy.
comment on now, Devu?
I said that was the whole sentence. You like stopped me at the end of my point.
Well, then, well done, Nate. All right.
Yeah, I'll go into another facet of plebdom that
Okay.
This is sort of changing the subject, but I feel like we've gone like for a while we were doing reviewer rules too. So
Yeah.
getting back into plebs.
Really,
though.
every video is a reviewer rules.
It kind of is.
you know?
We tend to go back into
That's our
that.
perspective, yeah.
But here's one that drives me crazy is just the closed-mindedness of plebs. And I think that a big part of being a pleb is not realizing how much more is out there and how many different ways there are to enjoy things, and just like holding up in your idea of yourself and what you like. And it's most common with I think basically everyone gets into most things through action, right? Like we all probably grew up watching more action-oriented shows than the ones we watch now. Yeah, would you say?
Yeah, I remember like in like Power Rangers and stuff like that when I was young, and then getting into
you would have watched
DBZ,
like Next Gen when you were 8. You know, like
well, I mean, no.
I mean, I really liked Winnie the Pooh well beyond
too.
the age that age that I was supposed to like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah,
I like
Which
that
is
shit,
now,
like,
right?
forever.
That's the case
I mean, I
with me.
haven't watched it
Come
in a
on.
long time, but
I was really
I
big
never
into Winnie
stopped
the
liking
Pooh,
it.
but that show is also very bright and colorful and fun to watch.
It's great, so comfy.
But like
it's the best.
The point I'm making is sort of that I think when you're young, you like action because it's immediate and it's not boring, and you get the point right off the bat. Like everything is clear to you, and like that's why shows for kids are all action or comedy. Like it always is. And there was even a quote from like I first realized that when I was like 12. And they were showing like some behind the scenes footage for Aqua Teen Hunger Force, like the making of, and the guy was saying like, you know, because this is an adult cartoon, we don't have to animate shit because like with kids,
great.
He was like,
Fuck
with
off,
kids,
buddy.
stuff has to be moving constantly or else they won't pay attention. But with
Adults will watch anything.
well, yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of true.
That's such
like,
a weird reversal of like the normal attitude that like
It is. It's
things
interesting.
for kids can be shit.
Right,
Wow,
but the
that's
funny
weird.
thing about it is that it's just animation, because what carries Aqua Teen Hunger Force is entirely the voice acting and dialogue. Like,
Yeah,
it's
pretty
got
much.
it's really well acted. It's this weird offbeat humor, but like most of the show is completely not animated. Like it's just lip movements and like nothing actually moves, and so like. Yeah, but he was like, yeah, because kids... And the funny thing is that, of course, plenty of kids did watch that show because it's still a cartoon and it still, you know, captures the imagination of
Colorful,
kids who've never seen
whatever.
anything like this before. But,
And,
like...
you know, dude, yeah, no, go on.
I just think that I think that for a lot of people... They never quite graduate out of the mindset of liking the same thing that they liked when they were young, because like you eventually have this identity of I'm a guy who likes action shows, and then until something disproves that, it just keeps getting stronger over time, that you just never believe that you'll like something else unless it's proven wrong. You know?
And dude, that totally reminds me, that just makes me think of an example in my life that you guys can probably all relate to. Like, because I want to make a distinction between, and probably should have done this at the beginning, between like plebdom and intelligence, because they are not necessarily correlated at all.
Despite what Urban Dictionary would have us believe.
Case in point is my own dad, because my dad is a super smart guy, smartest guy I know probably, and like he likes to watch on TV like the trashiest shit you could possibly. He loves Big Bang Theory. Yeah. We're in it. I hope you're recording. Jesse, I'm making a fucking point. Get back to me when you're recording.
We're already 50 minutes into this, Jesse.
Well, Ben jumped in like for the last 5 minutes of one once. That was fine. Okay, I was just saying that my dad likes super trashy shows that really he just watches like to turn off his brain, like to relax.
Right.
He's not us. He's not a guy who's like looking to like make the best art possible. He's a guy who wakes up, works for like 12 hours a day doing like this doing like his job, and then at the end of the day he's ready to fucking chill. He just wants to like relax, and that is super pleb, but like it's not a reflection on the kind of man he is. It's just that when it comes to this art stuff, he doesn't give a fuck.
It's a reflection on
it's what he's looking for out of it. And you can be looking
maybe this is why people think that Digibro, to use him as another example,
so really I'm defending plebs here. I'm your people's champion, so don't come crying to me.
But like I think maybe a lot of people, if they get some opinion in their heads, they go into every show or everything that they do thinking, whatever it is, I'm going to make sure it reinforces my existing opinions as much as possible. Right. And that may be why a lot of people, to use Digi as another example, think that he hates A1 shows because they're A1 shows and will go out of his way. No, you go into, what you've told me is you go into A1 shows hoping for it to be the one that proves you wrong, right? That makes you finally like it.
Yeah,
I'm sure that people who say that don't believe Digi when he says that, but we know him and we know that that's true.
Not everyone wants to be critical of their media. Not everyone really values art in a way that we do. Not everyone. Not everyone really cares.
It's way more interesting if you go.
That's true.
It's way more interesting to go into a thing thinking, how is this going to change and evolve my taste? Right. Is this going to be the country album that gets me into country?
That's exactly.
Instead of going, I don't like country.
I listen to. That's the thought.
I have not been paying attention for a very long time.
I honestly forgot you were here.
And I realized that it's just because I don't care about people being plebs. They can do whatever they like.
Well,
you don't care about anything,
Nate.
Let me go back to.
They can.
Let me go back to what Guy was saying. Real quick.
Yes, let's talk about my brilliant points. Go
about
on.
People, like they get an idea of what they like when they're young, and then it never changes.
That was me
I think
saying
that part of that.
No, it was me. It's all me.
Oh, whatever. I think that's. People just don't. When you're a kid, you have all the time in the world to consume all the shows and whatever and games and stuff in the world. You grow up. You tend to not have either the time nor patience nor even the desire to watch more stuff. So you don't. Yeah. So that just kind of.
My point is just don't act like you have legitimate opinions. Then.
Yeah, I wanted to get into Nate because you were talking about your dad being a pleb, and my dad's plebness fascinates me so much because like your dad, he's a smart guy, not as educated as yours, but he does read a lot. Loves philosophy and stuff like that, so he's pretty knowledgeable.
Cool.
Watches fuckloads of TV. Like, all he does when he's not at work is watch TV. He comes home, he turns it on, he leaves it on. He doesn't necessarily pay attention to all of it. He'll, check his fucking tablet and stuff, but he will get instantly invested in anything. It doesn't matter. If something's on TV and he watches it for more than 1 minute, he is immediately invested, and you cannot distract him or else he'll get mad.
That's not pleb. That's patrician as fuck.
Yeah, it does not matter what it is.
That's a superpower.
It's interesting because on some level it is super patrician because he actually
that's like me when Law and Order Special Victims Unit comes on, and even though I don't give a fuck, I can't not watch it.
Yeah,
Special
Victims Unit is great at baiting the hook.
It's
at the
funny
beginning of the
because I'm the type who I'll walk in and I can even get interested and I'll leave anyways because I'm I want to do something else. But my dad he'll just watch everything and any TV show that's like actually good or any movie that's actually good, he retains all of it. He can remember stuff about movies from like decades ago, even though his memory is ordinarily complete shit. But the funny thing is that, because he's explained it to me before, that like TV is just because he grew up with it and he like understands it, then it's very easy for him to like just watch all of it. Like he was like, when I was growing up, you just watched all the TV. That's just what people did. You sat down with your family at the end. Like he said, my parents would come home and we'd all sit in the living room and we'd all watch TV together, and that was just what life was, So like that's so ingrained in him, and he's always said that like he's legitimately like afraid to play video games because if he thinks that it would take so much more investment that he would become super addicted and it would consume his whole life. Like that's why he doesn't want to play games.
Yes.
But but when it comes to music, for whatever reason, he can't, as he put it, he doesn't hear music. Like it just kind of starts playing and he immediately stops paying attention to it. And like the only songs he listens to are like stuff with catchy hooks and like anything that's good for working out. He downloads these like running mixes of songs where it'll be like, it's basically like Eurobeat but like with a dance, like a dance version of a song.
I'm familiar with them.
They're fucking hilarious. But he'll have like all this like trashy music.
Running
on
to
his
Initial
phone.
D music is just the most awesome thing you can do with your life.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Well, it's not like that intense, but like, but he listens to like all this like incredibly pleb tier shit. He once was my favorite quote from him ever was that Billy what's his name? Billy Joe Armstrong.
You were a mistake. Yeah.
He said Billy Joe Armstrong is the greatest songwriter of all time. The guy from Green Day. And I was just like, it blew my mind so hard that he legitimately thought that. And then like, and he is like, I could endless treasure trove.
Well,
dad
I mean,
quotes about.
who's to say that he isn't though?
I mean, he could be, but his reasoning was that he had sold the most records.
Obviously, I'm actually the greatest songwriter of all time. But taking myself out of the equation, I can see how
the way I would
think
describe
that, sure.
what my dad's logic was for why Billy Joe Armstrong is because he's the most successful musician who my dad is also a fan of. Like, not that he's the.
I like that
because my dad really values like success. Like he thinks that if you are the best seller, then that means you are the best. But at the same time, if he doesn't like it, then he's not going to acknowledge it as the best. So it's like he should say
Gangnam Style is the greatest musician of our generation. Then
well, that is a fucking phenomenal song. I would say, but
I mean he is, but okay.
Yeah. His name is Psy, by the way. His name is not Gangnam
Style.
No,
his name is definitely
slave name. Cool guy.
Yeah, he makes K-pop and doesn't.
I mean, let's be honest. What other songs is he ever going to write? He's Gangnam Style until the day he dies.
Gentleman was good.
Yeah.
Oh, I liked Hangover.
I don't believe you.
I enjoyed Hangover.
Stop it. Stop making up these fake songs. He's not a real. He's not even
a gentleman. That song was literally just Gangnam Style
I don't even believe that Psy is a real person. I think he's like computer animated, like gorillas or something. He's secretly created by Kesha so that she could make music while still being locked into contract with that rapist. She created Psy.
Right, you know what? I want to talk about a small defense of plebs, and I want to make this a distinction because I think there's a very big difference that is extremely overlooked between having like pleb taste, as in you only like bullshit and you have no good reasons for it, and then I think there's an underrated populace of people who don't know a lot of different shows, but actually do really appreciate the few things that they're into on a really deep level. Sure. And I think a great example is Jesse's musical taste. Because if Jesse once, I was.
What is this? What is this attack on my character? As soon as I joined the podcast,
no, it's not. I'm defending you, first of all. But
Insane
you sent
Clown
me
Posse is a visionary.
Not just Insane
art
Clown
group,
Posse, but like I had a bunch of my friends make top 100 album charts once, and Jesse sent me one that had like entire discographies of 5 different artists. It was like all the Gorillaz albums.
That doesn't mean I don't know of other music.
No, I'm not saying you don't, but I'm saying that like. It just seems like you really appreciate those few bands rather than like being into like a fuck ton of different things.
Yeah, because they're objectively the best bands.
Yeah, like Jesse would say that like the song he was listening to when he plowed Puss for the first time, that's a 10 out of 10 song just by virtue of that alone, right? You're big into personal connection stuff.
Right. I just remember thinking like I saw the list and I was like, if anybody else sent me a list and their top 10 was what your top 10 was, I would probably assume they were a pleb.
I think that song actually might have been the Rambo theme. Now that I'm thinking back to it,
but because
I was watching, watching
First Blood.
Yeah, I was watching First Blood Part 2 on Valentine's Day, and I think that's what it happened.
I know for a fact that there's nothing that Jesse loves that he couldn't explain to me in great detail why it was there. You know, like if I said like if someone else told me like,
even if it's something as simple as like I listened to it like when me and my best friends had this like amazing car ride and like got in tune with our spirits at like 5 a.m. just driving across the state border, running from the police. Like that's a much more interesting explanation than anything fucking anime every day is going to give you.
Wait,
about,
hold on,
like,
here's this is totally off topic, but I think it's fascinating. I can actually get that vicariously from other people's stories. Has that ever happened to you? Like you read what happened to somebody else? Like, because
that's a mark of a great storyteller who can convey that sort of thing.
That's kind of how I am with everything, and I think when you have a personal connection to something, that's the most patrician fucking thing there is. Yeah. You can like anything. You can like a fucking
oh
dog
my gosh!
turd.
I just
but
realized
if that
a huge
dog turd
irony
saved
here.
your life as a child, then that's a patrician dog turd.
The whole time you were talking about this, I was thinking about this one older cousin of mine who's pleb in the most annoying way, where she's like, this is this, and her name is Patricia. And so she's all she's like, oh, this movie sucks, or like she just like says it and then like doesn't say anything about it, and it just makes you feel
anime was a mistake.
She just makes you feel icky about it. I also know this other girl who I knew who was all like,
that's what I
just like the people who are like that, and I think they're all women. Like the people who are like, this is. I guess there's plenty. I personally in my own life, I've only known women who are like this. All right,
women.
Yes.
All right, like where they're just like,
agree.
I mean, is there anything more pleb than women?
Like
honestly?
that kind of plebbishness. That's the least favorite kind of. I have to talk to that.
Okay, that's
the kind of
cool.
people who don't even go on forums.
That's kind of what I was talking about.
You
with
don't even go on forums.
Shameful.
Fucking pleb.
Well, I mean, like people who go on forums have some level of investment.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. That's true.
Well, but to get back to what I was saying about the personal connections thing, like, I agree with Jesse. I think there's a lot to be said about if it still evokes those feelings, like, because I've had stuff where I had a personal connection to it, and then now I don't care anymore, and like it's just like, but sometimes. This is my favorite example because there's a song by the band At the Drive-In called Invalid Litter Department, and it's one of my favorite songs ever. And every time I hear it, I think about how I read on like some random, it was on like songmeanings.com or something. Like someone just wrote this thing about how they were driving with their friend through like some bombed out city or something, like just passing by in the middle of the desert and like blasting the song, and they were like crying. And now every time I listen to the song, I imagine myself driving down a desert road with a bombed out village crying, and now that's why I like the song now.
No, that's totally normal.
It's not even my experience, but I think
that's humans are good at that.
You know, I think that's what keeps, like, me knowing that that's happened to me is why I love my job, because I can't see it from an outsider perspective, but I get emails from people who are always telling me how, like, you know, I've changed the way that they saw certain shows and stuff, and like there's been times where like my opinion of something was fundamentally changed by reading a review, like these two Agaloch albums called The Mantle and Ashes Against the Grain. And like at first I liked the first one and didn't like the second one. And then I read this review where this guy made this like really strong case for why the other one was the better one. And then once I listened to it again, I completely understood, and now it's my favorite one, you know?
Yeah. Or like you bring up sometimes that like when we did our Kill la Kill podcast long ago, we were both warm to lukewarm, but then something changed and you fell in love. And I don't know what it is, but it didn't happen to me.
This guy explained...
Well, he was 8 out of 10 right out the gate.
Yeah.
Like,
hey, you know what? That's a good definition of pleb. Anyone who thinks Kill la Kill is not patrician is a pleb.
that is definitely true.
I agree.
Well, I agree, I suppose.
But
I don't think I don't think it's not patrician. I just don't love it. I don't whatever. I don't want to get into a whole thing.
I came into this podcast late, so I don't know if we discussed this already, but we discuss how completely stupid this topic is, and how the word pleb itself is a word that only fucking idiots use, and elitist swine would ever even use the word pleb in the first place.
I just
like
you
when
think
I think
that
of the
until
word
you have to
pleb,
talk to them.
When I think of the word pleb, all I can picture is that anime snob with his
we went over
fucking
that.
hodunk rinky dink little
okay.
channel.
Like,
but I want to
it's
make
so
fun
weird,
of the
though.
anime snob.
I know how
hate him
ironic
the
this is.
most.
I know these kinds of people. When I hear pleb, I think of my cousin, even though her name is Patricia. I think of her and think, yeah, this is a real kind of people. And if you have to talk to them, it's a real problem.
Jesse, if you want to talk about the snob, you have to do the voice.
Oh, God, I want to suck so many dicks. It's all I want to do. I want to suck Digibro's dick. That's why I poke him in the back like a little girl in 3rd grade. I throw gum in his hair because I want to suck his dick.
Guys, hold on. I actually I logged into Skype earlier, and I had a message from him, and it said, if I paid for the trip, would you come to the con in Detroit? That's all it said, and I was so confused.
That little fucking fuckboy. He's so desperate for your attention.
I have no idea what con he's talking about, or why.
Wait.
It was a really bizarre message.
I don't know, man, but actually, you know what? I wouldn't take anything from him, but
speaking
whatever.
of messages,
why is
and
he in Detroit?
Hippo, tell us about that dude, that musician. He just sent you another message after like a year.
Oh, that's a great story, Gib. You gotta tell
did
that.
you say he was
Sorry,
in Detroit?
I'm playing the Soul of Cinder.
Stop playing Dark Souls, goddammit.
Damn it, okay, I'm dead.
Okay,
Right.
Digi, where did you
Right,
say
now I
you
can
were
talk about
dying?
it.
Jesse,
Digi.
finish your point, yeah.
Wait, I heard Detroit. Did you say Detroit in there?
Yes. Snob is apparently going to Detroit for an anime convention.
Because
was
it's the
he
only
in the
part
Motor
of
City
America that's
Comic-Con?
similar
Because
to
I
this.
was there
Did I miss
yesterday.
my-
I don't
my
think
chance
so.
to say something.
No,
What
Gib, we'll
happened?
come back.
Okay.
Because this was a guy who
been
wanted
there.
you to do some work for him, and because you didn't like his work, he accused you of being a pleb for not appreciating it.
Yeah, let
yeah.
Gib tell the shit. Go on.
Oh,
dude.
okay. Well, last year when I was just out of the pony sort of stuff. I stopped making videos, and he approached me on DeviantArt and said, "I saw you as a brony analyst, and I thought you could do an animation for my music." And he sent me his music, and it was absolutely terrible, and like hilariously terrible, even for like a pony.
Can we link that just to bully that person and have
Yes.
everybody thumb it down?
A link in the description.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, he
We'll
eventually
think about
got an animator to do something for it, so whatever. But I told him that it was terrible and I didn't like it, and I just because I was angry at the whole pony stuff. I didn't want to be associated with it, so I told him to fuck off. And he responded immediately with a really long rant about how I was a piece of shit and how he had been a guitarist for 20 years and he knew what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. And then he accused me of like lots of strange things that like you couldn't infer from what I said, but you could tell he just had problems with people who felt these certain ways about certain things.
Didn't he say that?
And then like 3
even
months
an
later, he responded to my same message again, as if he had forgotten
without
that he saw it
provocation
before.
of you, right? He just did it himself.
Yeah, he just did it again. I guess he just went on DeviantArt, saw it again, and then got angry
mad
again.
all over again. Okay.
And then a few days ago, it happened again. They're
After
all
like a
completely
year,
different,
right?
It's the
very
trifecta.
very long angry comments against me, and it was really hilarious.
Maybe he thinks you didn't read the first one, and he's trying to get you to respond. Like maybe he really.
Well, why would it be like? It would be like the first one was a year ago.
I think I think all this time he's been waiting for you to respond defeated and like apologetic, and he hasn't gotten his apology yet. So he keeps reiterating the argument because he thinks you just haven't read it yet. I think that's what was going on here.
I do want him to post again, so I'm going to wait and see if he does that.
Yeah.
I think that the attribution of plebness in this scenario is really interesting if you pick it apart. Because, like, he's a pleb, right?
Yeah.
He's someone who sucks.
And he doesn't get that he sucks.
But he's done it for a long time, which he thinks means he's better, but actually means he's worse because he's been a guitarist for so long, and he doesn't know what's good. He has no ear for it because he made this song that he thinks is good and it's not bad. I listened to it by the way back when he first posted it. But because you think that it's bad, because he has done it for a long time, thinks he must be good. It must be you that's the pleb.
Yeah.
Because you don't appreciate how good this thing must necessarily be due to how good he must necessarily be.
Yeah.
Not only that, but in some of his things, he accused me of being. He assumed that I wasn't a musician because I didn't like his music. Like,
man.
if I was
Why
a
don't you
guitarist,
put down the Guitar Hero
Ben,
controller and let the real guitarist?
You just brought me to what I think is now, in my opinion, the truest definition of pleb, and the fucking hilarious irony is that anime snob is the perfect example. It's the
I don't find that surprising
at
all.
Well, it's only surprising because that anime snob has seen way more anime than anybody else ever. He's seen an unbelievable amount. So you'd think he would have figured some shit out by now. But I think if I had to put a word to plebness, it would be the lack of intellectual curiosity. Just believing that you have reached the end and that there's not further to go. And I think
that is as opposed to normies who just don't involve themselves with any of this shit. You know?
I mean, if you've seen all the anime and you still can't appreciate the good stuff, that's way sadder than someone who's
if you've
never
seen every
it all.
anime and you don't understand why someone might like K-On! There's a problem with you.
I think it's that at some point in his life, that anime snob reached the conclusion that he understood what is good and what is bad, and he's just applied that exact formula to absolutely everything, and he's never revised his formula. And I think that is exactly what, and that's kind of, I don't want to accuse anime every day of that, but that's the impression I've gotten from him, and that's why that taste bothers me, because I think that's how you end up with that taste is by being that way, you know?
I think a true pleb is just anyone who refuses to see what someone else might see in something.
Yeah, you know, I totally see what you mean. You consume so much media, you don't get it. Reminds me of a great quote. I know people who read enormously, book for book, letter for letter, yet whom I would not describe as well-read. They possess a mass of knowledge, but their brain is unable to organize and register the material they have taken in.
That's it, man.
Adolf Hitler.
That's it.
Who said that?
Adolf Hitler. That was the quote from Mein Kampf. Twist! Secret twist!
Javoo has an amazing wealth of Hitler quotes.
Oh my god!
No, it's just that one.
Is it just
it's
that
just
one?
that one.
Wait, is that why I've heard that quote before? Because
out.
you did that one to me
I'm
before?
freaking out.
We're all sitting here
so
nodding
sorry.
in agreement like, man, whoever said this really knew a thing or two.
Oh my god! I'm blown away. That was
We did
the
it.
best thing
We've
that's ever
reached
happened.
critical meme, guys.
Hitler out of nowhere.
He's pulled that one on me before.
I guess we're Nazis now. This is the Nazi cast now.
The funny thing is,
look,
I
let's
actually
be honest,
for a
people,
second thought it might be Maddox, because the way you read it was so
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
that does sound like
Well,
something
okay,
Max
let's
would
be
say.
real. I mean, are we just gonna disavow anything Hitler says just
No,
because
he
he's
was a
Hitler?
wise man.
I
He was a
mean,
wise
he
man.
was.
Well, he was a vegan.
If Hitler says that the sky is blue, are we all gonna say it's green now?
No, it's you're,
Wait,
you're
isn't
right.
this also
it's just,
a quote? I think I've heard
No,
that
probably a
it's-
quote by
that's the
someone
quote
else
from
to
me.
say, yeah, like if Hitler does X, is it bad? Like
No,
somebody's
that
probably
exact
said
Yeah.
phrase. If Hitler says the sky is blue, are we all gonna? Maybe Jesse said it in a different podcast or something. But I've heard that exact
Maybe
phrase.
we all Hitler wasn't
Yeah,
wrong
me
about
too.
everything. All right, we could all admit that.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong
Okay, well,
about the Jews.
Hitler
for
might
one
have
thing.
done a lot of bad things, but he definitely wasn't a pleb.
No, he was not.
You
a
know,
pleb.
He was not.
he might have made
should all
one
strive to
small
be like
guffaw once in his career.
Yeah.
He might have been a pleb about painting, though. Maybe that's why he didn't make it.
Yeah, that was
oh my
definitely
God,
the case.
That's exactly what it is. He was so pleb that it created a deep frustration with him about the world. Plebness caused 9/11. That's what he did, right?
Can I?
Hitler.
Can I tell you guys
Hitler
about
fucking,
you know, I have a. Do you guys have this as well, where you feel like if you don't know enough about a subject, do you feel like inclined to not talk about it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All the time.
I'm definitely gonna be careful
Absolutely
with
not.
my
And let me
words.
tell you people about Homestuck. Let me tell you about the worst thing ever created in the history of mankind.
Jesse, I would love to see you make a Homestuck review with exactly as much knowledge as you have right now.
That was
exactly
actually
right
funny.
now.
You know what, guys? It's funny because we were arguing about Homestuck the other day for like 6 hours. It was horrible. You guys are
go
bad
back
people.
into it.
But
I don't want to get back into
I
it.
went to
Oh my
Motor
God.
City Comic Con
Yeah.
yesterday, As soon as I walk in the building,
boy.
what's the first thing I see? 2 fat troll cosplayers.
Still?
And I just instantly thought of you guys and how much I hate ya and how much I hate Homestuck. It was Digi and Ben, dressed up as Homestuckers, walking around at my convention.
I want to know
What color were they?
See, the sad thing, Jesse, is that if
It was the only one they ever dress up as, the gray guy with the horns. That's all you ever fucking see.
the one gray guy,
oh my God.
There's a lot of those.
I'm so fucking mad.
anyways, I was gonna say,
I'm hopping
What's his
mad
name?
now.
like a big.
What's his name?
There's fucking
Vagina
10
or
of them.
vaginal or something.
There's 12.
12.
There's like
12.
12.
Well,
Actually,
there's
there's like
24.
Actually, yeah, there's 24 of them now.
Actually, technically, there's 26 with the whatever. Who
24 identical character designs. Wow,
Yeah.
what a great
That's the
property.
joke.
What a great work of
All right,
art.
let's
Anyway,
move
I'm
on.
hopping mad, dude. I'm hopping mad.
So the point I was
What
trying
cut
to
us on
make
this?
before Jesse completely
Yeah.
derailed it with Homestuck is that, like, the biggest reason I do so many anime videos is that I just don't feel comfortable that I'm like I have an authoritative voice on anything else. Like, I know I know enough about anime to talk about it, and not that I know more than everybody, but like that I feel that the shit I say is not bullshit, and it comes from a place of knowing what I'm talking about and like being able to comment on it. And then like when it comes to stuff like films and comics and stuff like that I don't like, even though I do know a lot about them, there's just this feeling of I haven't seen enough, you know, like I haven't seen enough of the classics.
yeah.
I don't know enough of the like the real shit, and I've seen these.
It's like if you're going to go into writing an analysis post about it, you're going to have to constantly double track to make sure you don't get something wrong,
well, not
something
so
like
much
that.
about
Yeah,
factual inaccuracies, but like I've noticed this, and this is something that bothers me about plebs, and it's not even that they're doing a bad
Oh, it's the
job.
lack of perspective.
Yeah, it's the lack of perspective,
Yeah.
where sometimes I'll see, this happens a lot with like newbie anime reviewers. The perfect example would be Madoka Magica, where like my review that I wrote of it was largely in response to the plebness of so many reviews of Madoka, because that show had a really broad appeal. Like a ton of people watched it. Like it was a lot of people, one of their first anime. Like it was like the biggest show of 2011, and there were so many people who wrote about it as this deconstruction of magical girl shows, or
That's
as
the
this
buzzword,
as
yeah.
this like just they kept saying like, oh, it's like this dark take on magical girls, and I'm like, the fact is,
It's funny 'cause, like,
none of you have seen
yeah.
any magical girl shows, and I know that. Like I know that because like the next most popular one, Cardcaptor Sakura, is also dark. Like it also has death and themes of you know, just like darker themes, like more adult stuff that you wouldn't expect.
It's sort of because like Madoka, like the way Madoka is written, it's sort of as though like, hey, magical girls, let's be a magical girl. It'll be really easy. It'll be really fun. Oh, turns out there's a lot of death, so it makes people go, oh, so it must be representing the entire genre that it comes from, right?
That's the thing. Like, and it was funny because there was one time I tried to, I wrote a post called like how Madoka Magica could be a deconstruction of magical girls, and the only conclusion I could come to was the fact that she never transforms until the very end of the show. Like, you know, it's not until the very end that she makes her one big transformation, and that's the only major one. But then I thought about it, and technically in Cardcaptor Sakura, she never transforms. She just puts on costumes that Tomoyo gives her. So that was already like deconstructing the trope of the magical girl transformation, because Clamp, the artists, they didn't want to just have her transform into one outfit. They wanted her to wear different cute outfits every time. So there was no transformation. She just literally put on clothes that her friends was making for her.
So it seems like this happens with a lot of different genres with anime. Like I saw a clip of like an old Gundam thing, and it was like, you have to get in the robot, man. And he's like, I don't want to. I'm
that
scared.
Was literally
Wait,
the
when
plot
was this aired?
of the original Gundam. Like,
and it was like, wait a second, this is from the 80s, like 15 years before Evangelion, and you're already scared? What's going on here? I don't know, man. I'm just scared. Everyone would be scared to get in a robot, not just Shinji Ikari. Come on, man.
So
you pleb.
It's not wrong to say that like Eva, you know, did new things with it, because obviously that's true. But it is wrong to say it's never been done before, which is just showing that you don't know fucking jack shit about what you're talking
there's
about.
really nothing that Ava did that had never been done before. It was a conglomeration of a bunch of good ideas into one super good idea, you know?
Yeah.
When it comes to reviews, I'm always really scared of being caught out as not knowing my shit.
Yeah, well, you
I mean,
just
it's one of those. It's not so much that people will turn and laugh at me like you fucked up. It's like from that point on, people will take me less seriously because I was incorrect.
Yeah, you gotta foster
Well,
trust.
if I want to do like a video about movies, I specifically write it in a way to where I'm not like putting on airs of knowing what I'm talking about that much. In regards to video games, I know enough to where if someone who knows more than me is going to correct me, I don't feel embarrassed because those people are like legit next level, like hardcore gaming 101 fanatics.
Right. I will say though, that, like, to give 2 examples of 2 similar YouTubers who, one of whom comes off as a pleb sometimes in a way that bothers me, and the other magically doesn't. PBS Idea Channel. That guy, I know he has an incredible breadth of knowledge. I know he always tries to get into every new nerd thing. And, like, if it comes to music, he knows everything. He knows everything there is to know about music. He's into the most obscure shit. He's into the craziest stuff. I know he knows film pretty well. But he does this thing because on Idea Channel, he always tries to, like, jump into every, like, big-name topic. And sometimes you can just tell he doesn't know shit about that medium because, like, it'll be something like Madoka, where something comes along that everyone makes a big deal out of, and he talks about it in the way that everyone else is, without having the context that it's actually not that impressive or different.
Man, it pisses me off that he like
medium.
thinks it's valuable to like restate what everyone's already stated while adding nothing to the conversation. Those are the videos he makes piss me off.
So let me guess, you're going to compare him to Nerd
Yeah,
Writer,
I'm going to
right?
compare him to Nerd Writer because with Nerd Writer, he has like this amazing ability that I cannot, like, I don't know how much, like, for instance, with comics, he made this video about the Sandman comics, and, like, it was so mind-blowing to me that after this guy had made all these film analysis, all these song analysis, all this other shit, and then he brings comics into the fold, and not just, like, one everyone knows, it was fucking Sandman, and I was like, does he know a lot about comics? Can he possibly know so much about so many different mediums, you know? Like, he fucking... He just does... He does analysis of such a broad variety of subjects, and he always gives this impression like he's known about it forever. Like, he's been a fan of it since he was in high school. You know, like, everything...
I do.
you want to achieve,
I feel
so
like maybe it has to do with his writing style. Like, he's able to write it in a way to where it comes off correctly. Whereas Idea Channel, I remember in his Kill La Kill video, he was talking about, like, the names of certain things in Kill La Kill, and he was saying, you know, they could have been named that because maybe they're, like, play on words with other words in the Japanese language, and he listed all these things, and I'm like... I made a comment like, dude, yeah, that you obviously only know that by looking at it on Wikipedia, yet you wrote it as though you came to that conclusion on your own. That was very strange.
See, and that's a good example because what made that so plebby to me is that that's every fucking anime. Everyone's named after puns. Like, that's just that's like one of the most, like, Japanese humor is like all puns. They love wordplay. They love kanji
Gib, you were
puns.
born to the wrong civilization.
Like, because so much of how they title stuff is always that, like, it's a play on the way the characters are read, because almost every character can be read multiple ways, so they have all these fucking wordplay gags that never are fucking translatable.
Well, yeah, for me it was just weird because he was saying it as though he came to that conclusion, but there's no way he didn't just read that on Wikipedia, but he read, I was like, I've never seen that before in any video.
I got you, Gil. I got you.
I have seen that before in videos. It's called Vadi Vidya, where everything he says is recollected information from forums.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah.
Well, he does a nice job presenting.
Yeah, I don't mind him. I
He
like
does.
his channel, but yeah, he's been very widely accused of plagiarism.
You know what's cool is that all this time we're talking about plagues, we're talking about patricians, and I'm watching a Super Mario 64 speedrun. The most patrician thing, depending on how far you want to get into it. I am watching a speedrun of an entire alternate level map of entirely different levels that someone is speedrunning. Super Mario 64, super patrician. Go watch Panic Coic 2012.
Super Patrician 64.
Actually, you got me.
Yeah, man.
That brings me to another thing about, like, what I was just describing, though, is, like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I will never in my entire life will I be the guy who knows the most about anything. Like, there's just no subject on which I will be the
out of, like,
foremost
the
expert.
7 billion people, it's exceedingly unlikely that you will be.
Just because...
I don't even think Panacoic is the most knowledgeable about SM64. It's just he's the only one with that level of knowledge who makes videos.
Right. Like, I think there's always going to be... And I'm always jealous of those people because, like, as much as I love K-On! And could talk about it all day, like, I don't know, I couldn't tell you the episode names even, you know, like, and even with when I was into My Little Pony and I could do that, like, I didn't watch them over and over again. I couldn't tell you all the
somebody
details,
out there
you know?
does. Somebody does.
There's definitely someone who could recite every episode of the show to you.
I think there was a period where, a couple of years ago, where I was probably in the top 500 globally of South Park knowledge and like everything about it. Like I could tell you things, but I haven't updated my knowledge in like 5 years, 4 years now.
The second time I watched the South Park movie, it was with my brother's friend, and he had his older brother who was like 16 or 17 at the time, and he was literally word for word reciting the movie as we were watching it because he had seen it so many times he had memorized it.
Now, see, that's fine. You can do that if you want. I don't really feel the need to get into that because
I don't either.
I feel this, but I'm much interested. When I watch a show, I'm interested in like what I can get out of it intellectually, you know?
Well, yeah, I think there's something more than just rote memorization. Like, I feel like I may have been one of the top people in terms of, like,
cool skill.
being able to
cool
understand
trick,
South Park in certain ways. Like, after watching, like, every interview, I was able to figure out exactly why their production cycle is so hectic. It's because they, back in the day, they could never get around to writing an episode until they had no time left. They just kept procrastinating. There's not a single interview that says this, but I watched all of them until I was able to piece it together. That's why, by the way. That's cool. Why it's done like that. It's just back in the day, they could never stop procrastinating until they had no time left. And so they would just come up with whatever was in the news and write that. That's why they made it like that. And they just stuck with it because it was a successful model. Right. But no one knows that but me, and now everyone listening to this podcast.
Cool.
I think my envy of those people is just that I think, to me, you can never analyze something too much because at some point you get to where, like, the timbre of someone's voice, timbre, like the timbre of the way that their inflection when they say that one line of dialogue and like why it makes you feel something that they said it that way, like, you know, that could be an interesting thing, or like why
I just watched
this color being used in this scene is like why it makes you feel something, and you know, and
we can ignore the color of the curtains in the background.
Make shit up.
Right.
And,
again, watch Panicoic. He just came out with a video about Monty Mole spawning.
Oh my god, did he do another commentated?
No, he has this other channel called Pan and Keok, because he doesn't want to do narration that much. It takes too long. So don't ask him, or else...
Shout out to the least plebe man in the world, Pan and Keok. That guy.
Yeah.
I'll kill everyone for another fucking Rolling Rocks 0.5.
Yeah, I asked him about that. I asked him on the comment, and he made me feel like an idiot because he was like, you know, people ask me about this constantly. That's why I have this alt channel where I put out quick videos. If people start asking me for commentations on my quick videos, I'm going to have to make a secret channel.
What, does he feel fucking threatened by people wanting more content? Man, fuck this guy. I take it back. He's a pleb. I fucking hate him.
But anyway, like, if you guys don't know who we're talking about, he's the guy who said, but first we got to talk about multiple universes.
He's my favorite meme.
That guy. Parallel universes.
Him and,
that guy.
And what is it? TJ Henry
Yoshi. Yeah.
That's the best meme ever.
Yeah, that was the best, like...
Now there's a fucking pleb. An A-press is only an A-press. You can't say
Henry,
it's only a half.
Yeah. You can't say it's a half a press. It's just an A-press. You don't fucking get it, guys.
Well, hear me out.
Proceeds
did
to
you guys,
parallel universe
Did I tell
travel?
you guys that there's I saw a screenshot of TJ Henry Yoshi like commenting on that video after people
that was a
messaged
video
him in
that
the
he
comments
did.
and being like, you fucking idiot, you're so wrong. He got so blown out that he went and commented on that video like, dude, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Your video's great.
That.
Please keep making great content.
I tracked down that original comment on that video long ago and responded to it just like, TJ, you're a fucking legend. I love you.
Dude, he's awesome.
Yeah, no.
With his cool like Ace Attorney shades or whatever.
Yeah, on
his
that
mask.
orange Yoshi, he's the coolest. I love you, Henry. Shout out to
So
Henry.
do we have anything else to say about plebs?
You know, that's really the perfect example of pleb and patrician. TJ, Henry, Yoshi, and Pan and Koak. That's a good place to end it.
Yeah, it's a legendary dance of between two lovers that will last. You know, it'll be repeated again and again throughout history.
That's right.
I can't believe it. Super Mario 64. This alternate level universe is like so much better than the actual game. It's blowing my mind that I'm watching this. Holy cow!
All right. Well, that's cool. Well, I guess that's a good place to wrap it up. Let's say goodbye, folks. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.